اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to a new episode of the SimplyRYQ. SimplyRYQ, Surah Al-Baqarah, SimplyRYQ Q&A, both brought to you by TVQ.Academy, your borderless school of the Quran. So how are you doing, my good friends, my beloved ones, my companions in the journey of strengthening a good and righteous bonding with the Quran, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I pray that you and your loved ones are preserved in high level of iman, good health, and also that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to keep us in the companionship of the Quran in dunya and also in akhirah. Allahumma amin. Today we are taking a new Q&A which started with the SimplyRYQ Surah Al-Baqarah. And for that matter, this is going to be episode number 123 of Surah Al-Baqarah series. At the same time, episode number 11 of the Q&A. So today, by Allah's will, we are progressing. And under Q&A, which I just mentioned, will be covering episode number 1, 2, 3. Today it will be covering episode number 11 under SimplyRYQ Q&A. And today we have one single item, and it reads, why can't we apply Sukun? Sukun is silence on waw or ya when we stop on them, of course, while reading the Quran. Why can't we apply Sukun on waw or on ya when we stop on them while reading the Quran? This is a very good question. In order to put it into context, let's take a look at some samples or examples. The first example reads, وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُوَ الرَّحْمَنُ الرَّحِيمُ. This is how we read it in SimplyRYQ Surah Al-Baqarah series, and this is how I'll read it in my normal reading. Conventionally, وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُوَ الرَّحْمَنُ الرَّحِيمُ. But if we break this into two, as I do, and as we did here, then this is where you have a waw, which you stop on. All right, so this one, the one who asked the question, perceive this one to be a silent waw. Another example will be this. فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي وَلِأُتِمَّ نِعْمَتِي. If we stop on this, alaykum. Right? فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي وَلِأُتِمَّ نِعْمَتِي عَلَيْكُمْ. So the rule is that in Arabic, in Quran reading, when you stop on a letter, the letter becomes silent automatically. Over here, وَإِلَهُكُمْ, this letter is silent, permanent silent. Whether you stop or you link, it is silent. وَإِلَهُكُمْ I. You cannot say وَإِلَهُكُمْ and then give it active sound. Now, ilahun wa. If you stop on this, it becomes ilah. The ha becomes silent. And then wahid, wahidullah. If you stop on this, the dal becomes silent, and then you apply the rules of silent dal to this dal. Wahid, not wahid. And then la ilaha illa hu. Now, when we apply silence here, we apply silence here. Let us remember that in Arabic, silence has sound. Silence is not quietness. Quietness is when there's no sound. But silence in Quran reading has sound. وَإِلَهُكُمْ is at the sound of mim. Kum. Ilah. This is the sound of silent ha. Active ha is ha, he, hu, han, hin, hun. And then here, this is the silent sound of ha, and then it's called in Arabic sukun. And then wahid, that's the clicking sound of the dal is the silent sound of dal. Active sound will be da, di, du, dan. We have covered all this in our Arabic alphabet. If you refer back to Juz Amma Practical Tajwid series, it will be clear. And by the way, I am considering coming out with Arabic alphabet, SimplyRYQ Arabic alphabet, a new brand new version of it, inshallah. SimplyRYQ decoding the Arabic alphabet. For now, this is the idea. Inshallah, it's in the pipeline. So, silence in Arabic has sound. So now that we are clear that it has sound, so these examples of silence. Kum, ilah, wahid. Now, la ilaha illahu, illa huwa ar-Rahman. So when you stop on the huwa, what do we apply on wow? By right, it's supposed to be who. So the question is, or the person rather will read it by stopping on the silent on active ha, and then he will totally remove the wow. He will read it like la ilaha illahu, and then the correct way to read is illa hu. So we will explain that in a while. The second example is فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي وَلِأُتِمَّ نِعْمَتِي. I'm assuming that we are stopping here, yeah? وَخْشَوْنِي نِعْمَتِي. If we stop. In our reading, we stop here. فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي وَلِأُتِمَّ نِعْمَتِي عَلَيْكُمْ. So we don't stop on the second one. So let us base on the first one for now. So if this becomes silence, wa ilahukum, if we stop on it. So now we are not stopping on it, so let's ignore it for now. Let's focus on only the ones we stop on. Wa ilahukum ilahun wahid. Silence. La ilaha illahu. This is silence or not? We will come to that in a while. Ar-Rahmanur Rahim. This is silence. The second example, فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي. Is it silence or not? This is not silence, but we will come to it in a while. What is applicable to this is also applicable to this. But bear with me for now. وَلِأُتِمَّ نِعْمَتِي عَلَيْكُمْ. Total silence, permanent. وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ. This noon is silent. Is not what we are talking about for now. We are only focusing on the noon. Okay. In order to make sense of this, let us remember something we have also learned in the Arabic alphabet, that we have what it is called extension. We have what is called extension, mad, extending the sound of an active letter. So over here, let's take a look at qala. This is an extension. This is alif. Alif does not have sound unless you add it to a letter with fatha. Then it has sound. It earns its sound from an active letter. La. The same thing applies here. Rabbana. Ra. We cannot say ra ba because there's no reason to do that. But here we have the reason to do that because there is alif there. This is extension. So this alif by right is supposed to be silent. But this silence is called extension mad. Why is it mad? Because it comes after a letter of fatha. And it can only be mad of this sound when it comes after fatha. So if you see alif that comes after kasra, it is not alif. It is not extension. If you see, right? Here, ظَلَمْنَا, the same thing applies. But why is the waveform here? We have learned that when you have waveform here, that means you have to extend it more than the usual. And then you will likely see Hamza after it, as you can see here, or an emphasized letter. Emphasize, yes. Now, قَالَ رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا. These are all extensions. By right, it's supposed to be silent. But it is no longer silent because it comes after fatha. So alif is silence, but it is no longer become silence when it comes after fatha. So now I'm using alif loosely because we have alif, we have hamza. Now, anfusana, the same thing. So when we stop here, we don't say anfusana because we have to apply silence. No, it is no longer silent, it is extension. So when we have extension, we extend the sound. La, la, na. So once we are clear of this, we are clear about this, then we can move on to the next. The next is over here, وَدَخُلِي. This قَالَ رَبَّنَا is in Surah Al-A'raf. Now, وَدَخُلِي جَنَّتِي وَدَخُلِي. Now, let's ignore this because we are stopping on the second one. But the same rule applies if we stop here. Jannati. This is the extension. We extend the sound of any kasra using silent ya. In that case, it no longer becomes silent, it becomes extension. All right, so wadakhuli jannati. I'm giving examples with letters or extension that happen at the end of a word to make the question relevant. All right, so because the same thing applies in middle of verses as well, in middle of words as well. Wadakhuli jannati. The same thing applies here. Wama, this is related to here. Naqamu. You see that? Before that, we have also learned in Arabic alphabet that if you see, or even our Quran reading, Juz Amma, both Juz Ammas, that if you see this circle on top of alif or waw or ya, it means that particular letter is inactive. You can omit it in your reading, but it's written for grammatical reasons. That one, if you learn Arabic Quran grammar means Quran, Arabic Quran they call it, then you will learn that sort of basically. Wama naqamu. So ignore this and focus on this. Mu, this is an extension of the sound of mim with dhamma. All right, so mu minhum illa an yu'minu. You see, so these are extensions. La qa, la, rabbana, zalamna, anfusana. This is also extension of kasra, wadakhuli, jannati. And here we have extension of dhamma, naqamu, illa an yu'minu, extensions. So these extensions are not called silence. They are not sukun. In what case does sukun happen? Sukun will happen to any letter. In the case of alif, it becomes hamza. In the case of ya, in the case of waw, then the letter before alif can be fatha, but the silent alif will no longer be alif, it will be hamza. Ta'tiyana, for example, ta'tiyana, that is hamza and it's not alif. But over here, when you have kaifa, ya, the letter before that is not kasra. The letter before that, it is fatha. It cannot be dhamma as well. وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمْ. Example of that will be khawf, khawfun alayhim. That will be waw, silent waw, that comes after fatha. And in that case, the waw becomes what? Sukun. But in this case, what we have here is alif coming after fatha, it is extension and it's no longer silence. Ya coming after kasra, it is extension, is no longer silent. Waw coming after dhamma, it is extension and is no longer what? It is no longer silent. And in that case, you see most of all of that have no symbol on them. Any symbol on them will only be waveform to extend it even longer. Now, a silent waw, when it has dhamma before it, it becomes what? Extension. A silent kasra, a silent ya, when it comes after kasra, it becomes extension. And that explains the question now. وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ La ilaha illahu. Silent waw, and it falls after dhamma. Therefore, it becomes extension. So we extend it. So we don't say illahu to apply silence on the waw. Whenever we say hu, because even if you imagine خوف الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. You hear that? Oh, that extension of your lips to produce the sound of that is still applicable here. But because it falls after Dhamma, then it becomes automatically extension. All right? Illahu and not illahu. You don't swallow or hold the sound of the waw. Clear? Clear. And the other example is فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي. Now we have a silent, let's say silent here. Silent, yeah, but because it falls after kasra, it becomes extension automatically. وَخْشَوْنِي. So we cannot say وَخْشَوْنِي in order to make the ya silent. كَيْفْ لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ. Hear that the E in the ya, in the Quraysh. Quraysh. That E is here. وَخْشَوْنِي. So that is the silence of the ya in there. But here it's called extension. All right. فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي. And then وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتِي عَلَيْكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ. Now, let's look at the contrasting examples for waw as well as for ya. Here, look at this. وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ لا إله إلا هو. Illahu. Why do we say who? Because we stop on it. And because the waw becomes silent, we extend it because it falls after Dhamma. Had this letter been Fatha, and it can only be Fatha if we are going to have different sound, then the waw will no longer be extension. It will still maintain its silence sound. An example: إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت أو فمن حج. If you stop here, فمن حج البيت أو. You hear the waw? أو. This is silent. And then even here when you say أو, that is exactly what you are doing here. Who. All right. So إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت أو. But you don't extend, you just apply silence to the waw. So this waw here is silent, but this waw here is extension. Of course, silent in written, but reading extended. Illahu حج البيت أو, not أو. All right. The contrasting example of the ya will be this. فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي. Next. وَمِنْكُمْ مَنْ يُرَدُّ إِلَىٰ أَرْذَلِ الْعُمُرِ لِكَيْ. They hear that? لِكَيْ. The sukun of the ya. That one, if it came after kasra, وَخْشَوْنِي. Hear that? Now, so this one is silent. This one is extension. So if we go back to the question, which reads, why can't we apply sukun on waw or ya when we stop on them? Actually, the answer is yes, we can actually. There are situations when we can, and there are situations when we cannot. When we stop on waw or ya, for waw, if the letter before it is dhamma, then we extend it. Hu, kunu. But when the letter before is fatha, aw, we apply sukun, but we don't extend it. In both situations, we don't hold the sound of the silent or extended waw. We still have to apply something. The same thing applies to ya. وَخْشَوْنِي. If the ya, we stop on it. If the letter before it is kasra, we extend it. If the letter before it is fatha, we apply lean, they call it lean, madu lean on it. Likay, likay. And remember, these are situations where there is no any other word or letter word. There's no any other letter after the letter we are talking about. Because if it falls in the middle of the word, it's a different story altogether. We are applying where the waw is at the end, or the ya is at the end, or even sometimes the alif is at the end. And I hope this answers the question for this for this episode, inshallah. If it is not clear enough, please do let me know so that I will probably give it another address, inshallah ta'ala. If it is clear also, do let me know. And please keep your questions coming in so that it will enrich this SimplyRYQ Q&A series as well, inshallah ta'ala. So with that, we have come to the end of this Q&A session. Until tomorrow, I leave you in Allah's protection. Looking forward to seeing you in all the SimplyRYQ series. Al-Baqarah, Juz Amma, Juz number 29, Al-Kahf in the pipeline, Al-Fatiha, of course, and probably Juz SimplyRYQ practical, SimplyRYQ Arabic alphabet. Inshallah ta'ala. See you in Jannah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم